Warning. The content in this podcast contains some explicit language which may be offensive to some listeners and may be inappropriate for children. Therefore, the content in this podcast is intended for a mature audience only.
See, I try to tell you. I know you know my life ain't nothing nice. Job distressing, saying you should quit, losing loved ones, saying take your life. Things on my mind, where do I begin? Maybe how it's easier to sin. Mind flooded like a Katrina basement, I dwell lost in your pastures. The hell and back, I can show vouchers. Wrapped around excavated meanings between the chapters that told me you see me through. Times I stopped praying because I got tired of lying to you. A weakened version of your reflection fell into mirror, so I began telling myself lies that sound true like seems when I'm praying you're simply listening. Brailing for the remote, your comforting words are on mute while my hard times are your good times. Old reruns you just view. Late night Saturday sinning kept me. Excuse to not being in the sanctuary. Bible open on Ephesians on the coffee table. This is treason. Rolled up next to a blunt, sitting next to some warm Hennessy. See, I just tried to tell you, but educated I am, but this author I'm never reading. Love for material possession seems stronger, so my genes blocking my true religion, coordinating with buckled afflictions, the only wings I'm wearing. Diamond earlobes with a studded cross on my chest, man, ain't I fresh? When I should be humbled by this trinket that I never use, avoiding to catch the Holy Ghost, but I'm just too damn busy chasing the cool. Lord, can you hear me?
So, when'd you fall in love with hip-hop? Right here, what we're gonna do is go back.
Going to get it started. Okay, Cordney, you're going to tell us why you agree or disagree on the standards of white women, and we're going to talk about that.
Well, like we were speaking to, because white women have fathers in their life, and usually, to be honest, their father is probably successful. So their father has shown them how a man is supposed to provide and supposed to be there for them, right? Black women, most of the time, come up without that in their household. So white women come up like, okay, you need to be a provider. You need to make such and such. You need to make as much as me or more. And black women, a lot of times, honestly, they just want a man present. That's what I see. They just want a man present. And y'all can say what y'all want to say, but if Craig is laying good dick and he takes out the trash, that is astonishing.
Oh my God.
To someone.
Right.
To some women.
To a lot of women, yes.
I ain't gonna say a lot.
I think it's a lot of women.
And you know.
I mean, because I'm not gonna lie,
generalize.
I was just literally talking to Dante yesterday, and it's not necessarily that it was like, oh my gosh, that's like the best thing that ever happened. But I pointed out to her like that I was with someone the other day who we pulled up to the gas pump. He got out the car. I got out the car. He got out the car with me. It's expected. He should get out the car with me. And when I was younger, I wouldn't date you. Like, so if he wouldn't have gotten out of the car with me, I would have felt some kind of way. I really would have. I'd have felt some kind of way about it.
And that would have been our
But it's one of those things, right? Like, I've had guys that just sat in the car. Like, I'm pumping gas and you just sit in the car. Like, what kind of mess? But I never talked to them again after that. Yeah. But it's been a while since, like, I've had a guy in the car with me and I've had to pump gas and they got out. So it was kind of like, wait, so you getting out to pump the gas and I made a big deal out of it when it really shouldn't have even been a big deal.
And that's what I'm saying. It should be the standard to the point where you shouldn't even think about it. Mm-hmm. The man should already be in that position where he knows his place.
Exactly.
And I just feel like with the absence of a father in a young black girl's life, they grow up with the absence of that. So either they learn it late or they learn it as a woman, but they're still learning. So sometimes just the presence of the man being there in the household is sometimes, for some, good enough.
Exactly.
When a white woman has already seen what a man is supposed to do in the household, so when they start dating, Trevor needs to have good credit, maybe own his own business, have a car, blah blah blah, have all of that already. when Craig just gives me good dick and he's in the house taking out the trash and I'm satisfied.
But Trevor probably had a father in his life that
True.
taught him all that too. And
True,
so
it goes back
It does
to
go back.
Yeah, it goes all the way back
to that systematic
Yeah.
issue. And
Right.
but I also think that like we say that, but I think that black men have gotten to this point of feeling like they are the prize, and so when you have an expectation or you set an expectation higher for them, they get upset. So they don't like in my last relationship. It was just the fact that he was around, and when I would push him beyond the fact that he was around, and would be like, I mean, I don't need you to be around. Like I need you to be a man and be a partner and be helping in this situation. That would make him mad because he was so used to women who were okay with him just being around.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And that was enough for them.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that he was just around. And I started saying that to him, like, I mean, I don't know if you just feel like the fact that you just show up and you come in and you lay down, you lay down good dick, and then you walk out, and then I think you think I'm supposed to be okay with that, like I'm supposed to be satisfied at that point. Like, and if I say anything beyond that, then I'm nagging or I'm causing issues, I'm causing problems. But I don't need all of that. Like, good dick ain't rare. Like, don't be. I mean, let's be real. You know, you can find good dick. Like we always talk. We've been talking about hood niggas versus good niggas. Hood niggas is laying good dick on a regular basis.
you can get them something. Go ahead and go about your business.
Like,
they're not good for you.
They ain't good for you, but they good to you. You know? I mean, so you can get good dick from around the way. Like, I'm not looking for that. If we're talking about being in this relationship long term, it needs to be a partnership. And for me, I found that black men call it nagging when it comes from black women. Yeah. When it comes from white women, it's a standard. And a lot of them
to they go.
A lot of them, right? A lot of them will
maybe in a different manner,
right?
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of the fact that we have to like. What was I gonna say? It's one of those things where we like have to start. We have to be equal in our expectations for each other.
Well, I will say this, and you touched on it. A big issue with that is the low standard women have conditioned men to feel like, oh, I can do the bare minimum. That's what that shit is.
That's true.
And those women probably come from the homes without any type of male role models because they don't know what a man is supposed to do. So they're conditioning the men who, in turn, they know they're not wifey material. So they come to you knowing you wifey material, but they so conditioned to do the substandard shit that they're not ready to do what a man is supposed to do in the household. So yeah, now I definitely agree with you, but they conditioned by the low standard chicks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we have this battle. Like, yeah. I mean, you have these low standard chicks, and I'm a high standard chick with a level of give me some level of partnership. When we go into a relationship, like I'm gonna be your back. I'm gonna do for you what you need me to do for you. I'm gonna have your back. I'm gonna be faithful in this relationship. I'm a ride or die. I don't have no issues with the fact that you may have to work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I'm gonna be supportive of whatever it is you need to do, as a woman. But then you have that like, oh, but you want me to accept less than from you? I know I'm this up here. Like, I need you to step up to here with me.
Okay.
Then leave it alone.
Now, okay, so that leads me into another question, though. So, are you seriously dedicated to accepting that a successful man is going to be a busy man?
Oh, yeah.
Period.
Yes.
Period.
I am.
So you're good with him being gone all day doing business?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you sure?
Because I want him to be good with being gone all day doing business. Because that's how
I'm just saying, because you say it, but I've heard a lot of black women complain. Because I'm saying, what I hear from being around black women and being raised by black women is, you want him to have a 6-pack, be educated, hold on. You want him to be hood. You want him to be educated. You want him to have a 6-pack. You want him to have good dick. You want him to be around all the time, but you want him to be super successful too.
Because what we want,
I can kind of afford give him a couple
It's a build a man.
A couple of those I can probably give a little
I'm
bit.
just saying.
We want to build us a man. So that's like if we took it. So I think and I'm gonna be honest with you. I think a lot of men do struggle with that level of I'm successful and I don't have the time. But I think we also have that conflict of you make time for the things you want.
That's what I was going to say. Everybody makes time for
Everybody
what they
makes the time for what they want, what's important. And I do understand that men make money important to them, like success and being driven and going for the goals is important to them. But we want to know that we're also important to you also. So I might not necessarily I don't need you to be there every single day. Like, I'm not needy like that. I don't need you to be there every single day. But I do need you to stop and consider me.
Right.
And take me into consideration and stop and you text me. A text takes 5 seconds.
Okay.
Hey, babe, I'm really busy today. I got stuff going on, but I was just thinking of you. That can carry, I've said that on so many, we said that on the relationship with them. That can carry a woman through a whole day. And men don't understand that those small things, those little things. Leave me a note before you leave the door. Baby, I'm not going to be home all night. I get it. Right. I really love you, and I just want you to know I really love you. Put that note on the mirror and go on out the door. Those kind of things make a difference. But men get so tied up and wrapped up in that hustle and we doing this and I'm doing this for myself that they stop and forget that we exist. And so I'm not going to stop and forget that you exist. And like I said, I have a job that takes me away from my family. A lot of times I may be gone on the road 12 hours, 16 hours. I get it. Yeah. I get that you're busy and you're building and you're trying to get there. Because it's the same for me. I want to hustle and get there too. But I'm not going to forget you. So don't forget me. I'm going to send you that text message. I'm going to think about you throughout the day. It's going to be a time that maybe I stopped long enough to eat. I stopped and thought about you because it's like food to me. Yeah. It's like nourishment to me. It keeps me going.
I will say that men are very good at putting their blinders on. We'll put our blinders on and focus on our goals and what we want to do and what we want to achieve, and everything else is just an afterthought.
Yes.
And no, I definitely agree with that. I agree with that. So my question for you ladies though is what is a acceptable, or I can use the word acceptable. What is an acceptable dream to you where you can really, because like this what I get from my homeboys. Man, I got this dream, but my wife, she ain't giving me the support I need.
Well, I used to hear that all the time.
You know what I'm saying? Like so I'm telling you, because like black men are out here dreaming of. We don't want to work for the white man ever. We don't forever. You know what I'm saying? So we're coming up with dreams, and our wife is like, that shit ain't bringing in no money. Where the money at? You ain't making no money from it. And sometimes people will have to understand, to be an entrepreneur, sometimes you have to give your talent out for free for a little bit. So you can build your name up.
Right.
Yes. And black women don't want to hear that shit.
No. Not every black woman
don't say that. Yeah.
Not every black woman thinks that. And I say this. I need your dream to not necessarily be giving back to you, but I need your dream to be realistic. So if you 45 and you still dreaming about being a rapper. So that's my thing.
I knew you was going there.
If you've been working on this dream since you was 20, and you're 45 now, and you like, baby, and we still in the struggle, we barely can pay bills.
Right.
I done supported you 25 plus years. Like, where else do I go from this?
So that kind of goes back to that movie, Acrimony. Did you see Acrimony?
I think I see that.
Okay, so in the movie, he had a dream, goal, or whatever, and he was trying to
make this machine.
Yeah, making some type of machine.
And she put her house up, for him, got a loan out on her house. She took all her student loan, didn't she? She was
supporting him.
She was really supporting. Like, she was giving this man it probably went over millions, didn't it? At some point.
I think it's added up to thousands.
Now, to me, that's just
equal
to me that's not realistic to me, because I wouldn't ask my family to give all of that up.
Okay.
To I feel like in not to shit on Oklahoma rappers, but I came up with a lot of Oklahoma rappers trying to do their thing. I've never understood the mentality of a starving artist, especially when you have kids. When you bring in another life, it's time for you to stop just eating ramen noodles every night. It's time for you to be able to keep the lights on and to have heat and electric on a regular to put clothes on their back. So, if you want to be the next Jay-Z, J. Cole, or whatever, nigga, you need to be able to pay your bills. Period.
Exactly. And I'm good with that.
Do your side hustle all you want to, long as you can at least bring something in the household and we not just
that's the thing. Is if you taking care of what you taking, if you taking care of the household and you're doing that out there, I will support you 100%.
Yes, I am.
But if you're not working and you making me pay all the bills and do everything, give you gas money while you out in the studio trying to rap, like I can't support you.
Like that ain't gonna last.
And like I said, for me, I feel like as a man, you shouldn't want me to do that.
Yes.
No. And so you should have some level of pride within yourself that says, you know what, even if you take maybe a year or two and you say, okay, we ain't got there, but I see her working 2 and 3 jobs to pay the bills. I see her. Don't leave me out there making me feel abandoned, because I think that's where in acrimony where that issue came up, is she felt a level of abandonment. And as a woman, I do feel abandoned if I'm out here on a regular basis, getting up, going to work, taking care of. Now, I get that you want to do your dream. And like I said, I'm going to support your dream. I am. I want to support your dream. But what I don't want to do is support your dream to the detriment of myself.
So long story short, in the movie, she was working, working, I think, a couple of jobs. Wasn't she working a couple of jobs while he was still working on this invention 20 years later? And so, long story short, she had people in her ear, like, girl, I can't believe you still dealing with this. And
it's a black movie?
Yes. Taraji P. Henson.
Oh, okay.
That movie is a Tyler Perry movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short, she had people in her ear, and then she finally left him. She divorced him. Right after she divorced him,
he
met another woman, and basically she worked for the company that he had been trying to get on with for years, and his invention was worth like millions. So she like, hey baby, like I want the life that you promised me. And so she was very bitter behind it because she felt like
he ended up being with the other woman.
He ended up being with the other woman, so she felt like I've supported you all these years.
She needed to get a check.
He gave her a check.
No, but listen, he paid off because he had lost her mom's home. He paid off the home. Gave her about $10 million and bought her a new car, but she wasn't happy with that because she wanted that lifestyle that he had promised. Because he bought the boat and named it the same thing that he promised that he would name. He had that condo looking over that the city lit that he promised her.
But shit, if she got $10 million, she can get it.
That's what I said. I would be done.
But it's not the same. I think the thing is when you have a love in your heart for somebody, and because the love in your heart is what keeps you 20 years later.
Right.
Carrying somebody on your back while they try to fulfill their dream. That's love.
But when do you stop?
But at some point...
I gotta watch the movie because to me, I'm like, okay, did he cheat? Or was it divorce?
Yes, he did. At the beginning of he cheated with the same woman that ended up getting him the deal.
But they were like girlfriend, boyfriend.
Yeah, like they were girlfriend and boyfriend. Like him and Taraji P was still together. They were girlfriend, boyfriend, but he cheated on her once with this same woman. And she ended up running into the, So he did cheat with the same woman years ago. I will say, if I was in that position, I'm giving my ex-wife the money. I'm cutting her a fat check. I'm going to make sure she's super comfortable. Like basically, the check ain't even enough. I'm going to make sure she's good for life.
That wasn't good enough for her, though.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, then
he made sure because he married that other woman. Yeah. He made sure that his ex-wife was extra good. And she, took herself to a point where she drove herself crazy, living into their life, because they end up having a baby. She couldn't have a baby. The woman ended up getting pregnant, so she drove herself crazy. She was still stuck in the life that she wanted. Yes, that she wanted with him. And then she felt like he promised her. Yeah, she wanted with him. Well, I will say, it's just unfortunate, but
because she walked away from it.
Yeah, because to me, I feel like in that sense, he did what he
didn't have to do as much as he did. I felt,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like that woman, the new woman, got him that deal because that company turned him away.
Yeah,
plenty of times. She got him that deal. So I feel like he did.
I mean, not only that, but then he begged for the ex-wife to come back. He begged her not to leave. Like, he wasn't like,
but she was tired, though. How long do you support this grown man? I'm working 2 jobs, paying all the bills, and all you doing is working on this project that we don't know if it's going to happen.
So I think where we also, as women, and this is just me playing devil's advocate, sometimes we have to stop and commit ourselves enough to that dream to believe it's going to come true.
How many years?
And I get that. No, you say it's enough time, but clearly it wasn't enough time because had she reached just a little bit further, we thought, look, what's the name said?
Because
listen, what's the name said on the podcast last week? Trey said on the podcast last week. At the moment you get tired and you decide you gonna quit, That is the devil working, and God saying push just a little bit further because the breakthrough is on the other side. But I guess the thing is this: if you commit yourself to it, how committed to it are you? Because I think the issue that we have is we say, well, we want you, so maybe we're not laying out our expectations enough. So maybe we're not saying that I really want you to work. What I'm saying is I'm okay with you doing your dream. You do your dream, but in the back of my mind, I'm really not okay with this shit. 10 years ago, I wasn't okay with it.
No, I'm with that. It's the expectations. It needs to be said. I got 2 homeboys that have been through divorces because they just didn't step up and put out their expectations for even their wife. Okay. So, basically, it's crazy because both situations, both marriages, the wives wanted to be the first in their crew to be the wife, to have the kids, all of that, right? But when it came down to it, they wasn't really ready to be wives. They were too busy kicking it still. Oh, okay. You know. So at the end of the day, the husbands, my homeboys, didn't put out the expectations of what they wanted for their wives. And when you don't put that expectation out, your spouse, your partner, they don't know what. They just moving. To me, it's human nature for you to do what people allow you to do.
That's true. Yeah. That is true.
And that's the thing when it comes to that movie. That man is going to continue to focus on his dream because his wife is working 3 jobs, and yes, she might be going through it. And yes, me as the husband, I might recognize she's going through it, but she ain't telling me nothing. She's not setting expectations. And I feel like that's crucial in black couples, that expectations are not being set. And so, you out here, you want your man to take out the trash, you want your man to do such and such, but he doesn't do it. But have you told him verbally? Not just you thought of the shit, or you gave him some silent treatment, or now you have some type of resentment, so now you cleaning the whole house by yourself, stomping around, not saying shit, but you stomping around, giving him the silent treatment and shit. That's not telling the man, look, this is what I need from you.
And I think that we, like the trash situation, I think that we expect a man to do that. Like, I mean, as a man, you should be taking out the trash. I shouldn't have to tell you, but then again, like, some people aren't raised that way.
Some men
and
are
you do
not
have to lay it out, on the table and let it go.
But I shouldn't have to lay it out every day, though.
But no,
don't
not
get
every
to
day.
a point where I walk in the house and I be like, you ain't took the trash out yet? The trash
but then
taken out.
At some point, then we should start, as women, stop saying, okay, so what is enough? Where is our breaking point? Because a lot of times we carry till it becomes bitterness.
Yeah.
And it becomes this built up, pent up shit that we mad and angry and upset about. And we feel like you now owe us something because I done sat here for 20 years being your wife for 20 years and I done carried you on my back. So now you owe me something. Yeah. And what do you owe me? You really don't owe me anything because you didn't really do anything wrong.
Yeah, you do.
But no, you don't owe me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the next
give me my $10 million.
But you can give somebody else. But he came back and gave her $10 million, and she still felt like he owed her more.
I would have took
that. That just wouldn't have been me. I wouldn't have.
But there's women out here that are operating exactly like that because I'm so unhappy and bitter.
Women is like that right now.
Because for 20 years in her marriage, she was unhappy and bitter. Yeah. That was the problem. The problem was throughout their whole, like if you watch the movie, their whole marriage, she was bitter, upset, mad,
That's because he
angry.
wasn't showing her any attention. He was putting all his attention in his project.
And you know what? Especially if like I said earlier, if he's putting all his attention to it, he got his blinders on. He doesn't recognize what his woman is doing for him. I don't believe in the whole, well, I should have kept believing in his dream for another 20 years, and maybe I would have still been with him when he got that big deal. Fuck all that.
Right.
Because if you already showed your commitment.
Right.
And if he wasn't respecting your commitment and the divorce comes, okay. But when he does hit the jackpot, I still believe as a man you deserve to give to your ex-wife because she held you down for 20 years when you wasn't even working. You was focusing on your dream.
Right.
But the whole mindset of she should have been still committed for maybe another 20? Nah, I don't believe in that.
No. I don't either. I mean, I'm not saying that either.
Yeah, with that even being said, since you got a lot going on, so does your wife, like,
To be totally honest.
Okay, so wait, before we go into this, because we haven't really introduced our guest.
Okay.
We've been going on and, we was having a really good conversation, so I feel like everybody needs to hear that conversation. So before we keep going, this is MochaTea. I'm Capri.
I'm Mika.
I'm Dante.
And we have a special guest with us.
Cordney McClain, known as Mac Woods.
Alrighty. Courtney, can you tell us a bit, Mika, do you want to keep going on?
Well, no, go ahead. Because I know that you're a busy person. So I'm just wondering with the whole conversation, I know your wife has to, does she feel some type of way at some point with all that you do?
Well, I feel like she does, but she's so busy with her. She's an assistant VP for University Community at OU Health Science Center. So she's always busy with evening things. Nice. and just always something to do with school, right? So literally, I feel like I'm Mr. Mom. I feel like she takes the girls to school every morning, and I definitely appreciate that. So I can go, I get myself together after I help them get together, put them in the car, and then go into daycare. And then right now we have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, so they go to 2 different places. Which is rough. I can't wait to them. They go to one school.
No, my kids went to 3 schools.
Oh, damn.
It's going to be a point in your life where every year, at least 1 year of the year time, they're going to be at different places.
Man. That's where the desire for twins kick in.
Nah, I still never had that desire. I'm cool with dropping them off too.
Yeah, because when you think about it, that's 2 crying ass babies at the same time.
I ain't ready for that.
I mean, but a 1-year-old and a baby, depending on how far apart they are, that ain't no different.
It is.
It's still about the same thing because my oldest Coco, when she got pretty much done with potty training, it's not that far from me still changing the diaper of Mila. She's a 2-year-old. Exactly. So, but no, my wife does pretty good. I will say when I first started, I didn't feel totally supported when I really started pushing in the community outreach and to doing my poetry. I didn't feel totally supported. She knows I didn't feel totally supported, but we had the conversation. I told her, I pretty much told her, look, I'm going to go out here and do my thing, and I don't want you to be the last one to know. I don't want you to be my wife out here finding out what Mac Woods is doing. You my partner. I want you to know what I'm doing. I want you to be a part of it. And when I write a poem and it's for women, I want you to be the one to proofread it. I don't want to give it to somebody else. I want to give my wife, my best friend, the stuff to proofread. I want to get your perspective on it. So I think when she really grasped onto that and she seen that I was serious. See, one thing I feel like what black women need to see when it comes to a black man's dream is she needs to see that you are serious about it. Not that you're making money off top, but she needs to see that you are really putting the effort in it, that you're really putting a grind behind it, and you just not talking shit, because everybody knows a black man can talk shit very well. Exactly. We can sell water to well. What Jay-Z say? We can sell bars to a prisoner and water to a well. Ice to an Eskimo. So we can talk that shit. But if a black woman doesn't see that we're actually putting in the effort to really make our shit go, then they're not going to take it seriously. And I think when my wife saw that, I think the support, I could really feel the support coming from her. So when I say that I have to go to the ICE Event Center, shout out to Dope Poetry, Jay Wig, and Proverb, Mark Fleming, when I tell them that when I tell my wife I need to go to ICE tonight, she doesn't make a big deal about it because she understands. If I have a Poetic City event, shout out to Tavy the Poet, she understands that I work for the white man all week. Then I have my babies all night, every week. I mean, every weekday I have my babies, while she's taking care of her business. So on the weekend, that's the only time I get to do my thing. She understands that. But she's seen the grind, though. She's seen me stay up night after night till like 2 o'clock in the morning writing poetry. trying to memorize my poems. She sees that grind. If she didn't see that grind, she probably wouldn't take it serious.
Right.
True.
She'd be like, "Oh, this nigga just running the streets."
Right.
As long as you can see that grind, I'm all for giving
And I think it's the
all
level
what
of
you
commitment.
need. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's committing to what your dreams. As long as I can see that grind.
And plus, I'm not into the starving artist shit.
Right.
Man, a brother that's out there with kids and a wife, if you put on hold a real job that's bringing in consistent income for your dream, I think it's irresponsible.
Yep.
I think it's irresponsible. Yeah, you should go for your dream. And at the end of the day, I believe in generational wealth, and I believe in having a legacy that you can pass on to your kids. But at the end of the day, if you can't pay your damn bills, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, you need to reevaluate.
You need to reevaluate.
Right. I mean, you got to figure out how to balance, because I
Yeah.
think that, like, it's the same for me. Like, I can, we make a sacrifice, like we say all the time, coming here on Sundays, and when it gets to that grind and it comes down to it, it may be nice that I'm out longer, but past my job. The problem is I'm not quitting my job.
Right.
Because I have 2 kids at home that I still got to support and take care of. And
Right.
like we said before, I'm not sacrificing their lifestyle for my dream. Like, I feel like that's selfish. I feel like it's selfish to be like, oh, well, my dream is more important than you eating every night, or than you living comfortably, or than you having life. Like, that's selfish. Yeah. So I wouldn't do that to my baby. So I feel like, as a man, you shouldn't do that to your wife. She didn't commit to that part. And men are like, oh, she's just a gold digger. No, I didn't commit to you not taking care of me or providing for me or loving me, or I did not commit to missing out on none of that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I committed to loving you and being there for you and supporting your dreams, but I didn't commit to starving. Like, why was we eating ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
I was talking to my homeboy literally yesterday, and I was like, man, I can't believe when we was at OU, we was eating ramen noodles like every night. I would make hamburger helper meal last all week. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, those are the times where you can give up everything and be like, I'm gonna just go for the hustle. I'm gonna go for the dream. But once you have kids, once you have a wife, you need to chill that out, bro. You need to be able to. You better work all day for the white man. Do what you got to do to bring in that check, and then at night you go to grind for yourself.
I agree with that.
I agree.
And stay up. I mean, because if that's the commitment, because if I see you up till 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, committing to your art, then I'm going to appreciate that even more from you as your wife.
So tell us about some of the stuff you have going on.
All right, so most of the stuff I'm focusing on right now is between my poetry with Poetic City. I don't know if you've seen anything with Tavy the Poet, Poetic City. It's been his whole vision, man, and man, I thank him all the time because he has been able to provide opportunities for me to step on stage and do my poetry thing where I just haven't had time to, because I'm always with my babies. So I just haven't had time to find those things to do that networking, and he's been able to do that for me. Nice. So he just hit me up and be like, "Hey Mac, February 16th, we got this Poetic City drama in Dallas. Be ready." I'm like, "Well, shit, that's what I'm talking about." Like, all you gotta do is tell me where to be, bro. Like, he's setting everything up for me, and that's just a blessing.
You need people like that.
That's a blessing. I call him Tavy Management all the time because I'm like, bro, you need to have your own management company because, he networks so well. He's such he has personable skills so well that he's able to maneuver and get these gigs for us all the time. And he's taking poets that were just reading on their phone to giving real performances, and to be able to take it from Ice and Dope Poetry at Ice, Jay Wig and Proverb and Mark Fleming. They started the movement. They were doing consistent poetry events every single week when nobody was even on that. Now you see it popping up everywhere. Mm-hmm. But Dope Poetry and Jay Wig and Proverb, they started that movement, and now you see it popping up everywhere. But I say that to say, Tavy the Poet, he took those poets that he met at ICE and he developed them, and now they're actual performers. They're not people that's just reading off their phone. their actual performance.
Do you all charge for that? Because I don't know if you know, but my daughter, she does poetry. She's 17. She reads off her phone, and I think I told y'all, but she submitted her application for TED Talk.
Okay.
And so she made it past the first stage. She's at the second stage now. She has to submit more information, but she's hoping to perform in front of a huge audience on TED Talks. But she reads on her phone, and I want her to stop doing that. I mean, I can't even do that, but I mean, I want her to stop.
I'll tell you what it is. It is totally a commitment thing. It is finding that niche to learn it. I had never memorized anything until I pledged Kappa Alpha Psi. until I pledged, I had never memorized anything, and when I as a kid, my mama had me in all of the Easter plays, and I was reading off the little paper. You know what I mean? But before Kappa Alpha Psi pledging, I had never memorized anything. It's about commitment.
That's true.
If you set yourself up to commit, you will memorize it. And what I do is I record myself on an audio app, and I actually play a little instrumental on YouTube in the background. And then I listen to it in my earbuds all the time. When I work out, when I'm driving to work, whatever I'm doing, I'm just constantly listening to myself. And the thing about it is, what music does is cognitively, you learn it because it's like your favorite song. You know, you know all the words to your favorite song without even thinking about it because you listen to it so many times. So once you do the same thing with the poetry that you've written, it'll be like that. So so your daughter can learn it easily. It's just about committing and finding the best way for her to learn it. And
I think you get confidence once you learn, because how many of us gain confidence once we learn that, oh wait, I can memorize this, and I can say this back to somebody. And I mean, I'm sure that, you know, as a Kappa, when that was the only choice you had, you realized, oh wait, I have the ability to memorize stuff and then say it out loud and continue to say it out loud over and over and over again. It's a confidence thing.
See, and I'm like you. I never memorized an Easter speech either. I had my paper up there. Like,
I never had the Christmas play, the Easter speech. I never had none of that memorized.
Yeah, college was where I learned, like, pushing the boundary of learning, like, oh, I really have the ability to do this. Yeah. And I can do this, and I can not only do it, but I can excel in it. Yeah. And I think that's a skill that college does give you.
And it's going to be a high for her with the self-esteem and just the experience of being able to spit something that you believe in your poetry, and to be able to make eye contact with everybody now, and to give that full experience of, as a poet, I have you pulled in as the audience, because now I'm engaging with you, I'm talking to you. I'm giving that poetry, pouring it into you instead of reading off my phone.
And I agree with you on that, because I go to poetry every now and then, and your performance was one of the most memorable performances because you were so into it.
You do.
You were stuck in. You were turning. I'm like, he is really performing, and you really performed.
And that's been a thing for me. Like once I the first time I ever did a memorized poem was at ICE Event Center, Adult Poetry on Wednesdays, and when I did it, totally memorized, I was like, I don't want to ever go back. I don't want to ever, because it's the high. It's the high of you doing something what you feel like as a professional, especially when you start getting paid for it. You know, when you get paid for it and you able to step on stage and perform without reading on something, and you're able to give it all you have, and you know you jumping on stage, or you have a little bit that you do, and you're able to speak eloquently straight to a member of the audience, pouring into exactly what you've written. I mean, it's your own words. Right. It's your own words, and you're able to perform it. It's a high. And once you do it, you don't want to go backwards. You know, now the people that, you know, I don't want to shade anybody that does read off their phone or read off a piece of paper. I know some dope poets that's their thing. That's their thing. They read out of like a cool ass notebook, and I feel like that's fly too. Yeah. See, to me, my advice to anybody that's reading off of something is, it's the difference between memorizing it and knowing it. You can know it and perform it well without memorizing it. You know what I'm saying? You can read off a line, and then the next line you know it, so you kind of engage, but then you go back to reading it. You know, it's like a great book reader.
Yes.
You know, like Maya Angelou, she used to do little specials like that where she read poetry while she's actually reading it in front of people. You know, it's a difference between somebody that's only focused on the book because they don't know the shit.
Right.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
instead of reading but being engaging.
Right.
You know, so you can still read out of your notebook. I think reading off like a piece of paper or a notebook is better than reading out of your phone, though. I think it's more intimate.
Yeah.
You know, but there's nothing wrong with it.
Like you feel it when you with certain poets. Like you like, damn, he was dope, or damn, she was dope. Like the girl off of the girl from what's her name? She was at the poetry night we did with Kenyatta and them. Masterpiece. She's a dope poet.
Shout out to Darian Blanchard, better known as Masterpiece. She fire. She act like she don't know she that fire. She fire.
She is.
I remember her. She had on the blue dress. I think.
With the braids.
Yes, I do remember
she's
her.
dope. Like just listening to her, you're like, dang. Because, like, as a person coming up and, like, loving poetry and stuff, it's like, dang, like, that's that Love Jones. She give you them Love Jones vibes. When y'all give Love Jones vibes, I think that's when you, like, really connect and you really feel that poet and you like, damn, like, that's deep. Like, I rocks with that. So it's nice.
See, and that's dope to hear because I think the best thing that a poet can hear is that they spit something relatable enough from their situation that the audience feels like you talking about them, you talking directly to them. Right. It's kind of like that past testimony situation, you know, when you in church and you feel like the pastor's talking directly to you. That's when you feel like the Holy Ghost is in the room. That's when you feel like, yeah, I'm really getting the word today because, you know, I was going through this at work and the pastor is talking about it this Sunday, so I feel that connection, and I feel like when you say something like that, that's what a poet is writing for. You know, nice. We're writing for the therapy, but shit, if you're writing just for yourself, I don't feel like you're doing yourself any justice. I tell my wife this all the time that she needs to write a book just because the things she's been through as a young woman, it would be a discredit to your situation if you didn't let other young girls know what you've been through, and I feel like that with any woman. That's why I honestly feel like any woman can be a poet because y'all are so detail oriented. Y'all are so great with details that you may not rhyme, but you could just write your experiences and how you're feeling, and it'll be poetry. It don't have to rhyme. I feel like any woman can be a poet because y'all are so detail oriented. You're so sensitive to the things that are going on around you, and honestly, men are oblivious to a lot of shit.
Are y'all really?
I feel like we are. We pay attention and you know we always try to find. This is what men do. We always try to find how we can solve the problem without really digging into the details of it. You know?
Why do you think that is? Do you think that women are taught more to pay attention to the details of the situation and men aren't? Or do you think that men just don't have an interest in it?
I think we're so trained to only figure out the problem and then solve it. Simple as that.
I just think it's how y'all wired. We're just wired different.
And then all of us are pushed to not be so emotional as well. So
black men.
Black men.
We're pushed to take the emotion out of it and look at the black and white of the situation.
So growing up, you feel like you were taught to not be emotional.
Oh, definitely. I didn't even start. I don't even think me and my mom started saying we love each other till my grandmother passed, and I was about 15.
Oh my
God. I don't even remember saying I love you back and forth to my mother till my grandmother passed, and I was about 15.
That's different.
And then I feel like all of my family started saying it more often. But honestly, I'll take the credit for that. I started saying it because I recognized we wasn't saying it.
Right.
Yeah. I recognized that, you know, I have friends that I grew up with from second grade, and as men, we didn't say it, and I've been knowing them all my life. And then my grandmother passed, and I realized that my whole family, we never say it.
But I think that's awesome.
We barely even really hug.
I think it's awesome that you recognize that and you started saying it and, getting them to say it because life is short.
Yeah, because, I recognized it at 15. And since I was 15, I just started saying it. And what's funny is you see how uncomfortable it makes people because they're not used to that. If your family is not used to showing that type of emotion, you see how uncomfortable it makes them when you tell them that you look them in their eye and you're like, I love you.
Yeah.
All right.
They say they like, yeah, I love you.
So talking about your family, are you related to Chris McClain?
No, I don't think I know him. Chris McClain.
You don't know Chris McClain? He's one of so Chris McClain is like a local rapper.
No, that's Chris McCain.
Is he McCain or not McClain?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right. So then I put the L in Chris McCain.
I don't know Chris McClain.
Chris McCain, I apologize. Clearly got your name wrong.
Shout out to Chris McCain. Yeah, I do know him. Yeah,
okay.
I know of him. We never met.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because when I saw your name, I was like, I think it's just all the name. Okay. So
she asked me, and I was like, I don't know.
I'm old. My old.
That's she already told you that she couldn't see the whole thing. So maybe she looked at it. She
no, that's
looked
all.
at it. I was blind.
You know that's all good because I get called McCain, and I'm like, hey, I ain't. Don't put me in the realm of John McCain. No, I don't want to hear it. So, no, I can see that. No, but I know of him. Yeah, he's been doing this thing in Oklahoma City for a
Can you
long
tell us
time.
about your book?
So my book is Black and the Shakespeare's Inc., The Diary of a Nostalgia Kid. It's going to be a first installment. So basically, when I first wanted to write a book, it probably occurred to me. My mom had been telling me to write a book since I was a kid. The first time I ever was in a creative writing class, shout out to Del Crest Junior High, Middale School System. Miss Corcoran, a white teacher, she wanted me to write. I was like, man, this is whack. I don't want to write no poetry because and that's why it's called Blacker Than Shakespeare's Inc. Because as black kids, we're pushed to learn all of the everything white, right? But we can't connect with that. We don't connect with that. But what do we connect with? We connect with Iceberg Slim. We connect with I forget the lady name that wrote Waiting to Excel. But we connect with black writers because they're and one of my mentees, he got judged by a white professor because he had my book in his hand, and before they even knew what was inside of it, she asked, why do black people only want to read from black authors? Because that's a simple question. He didn't have the answer, but oh man, I wish she would have asked me that shit. It's because when we grow up, we only know from what the hegemonic power feeds us, and that's the white, everything white. Thanksgiving, Christmas, all of their holidays, all of their traditions, everything pours down on us. We don't know our culture. So for people to be able to eloquently write about our experiences, hell yeah, we want to hear it. That's why when the best comedians tell the best stories about our lives, we can connect with it. Yeah. And that's the same thing with the poet. Yeah. It's the same thing with the poet. And it's funny because, a comedian will say some shit and it's like, damn, my grandma do the same shit.
Or nowadays memes.
Yeah,
you get memes and you get like black mamas be like, because a lot of that is stuff that we can connect to and that we can grasp from. We don't have anything to grasp from. I don't think people realize how important it is to be able to grasp from something you can relate to.
Yep, that's
and
important.
If it's not around you and you don't, you're like, damn, I just really don't have that. I don't think people understand it, and I don't think white people. Not to say that I'm prejudiced or anything. I don't think they understand that.
It's just facts.
Yeah, they don't understand that concept.
Because literally, when they think of their culture, they see it as colorless. They don't have to put a color on it. They don't have to put a label on it, like HBCUs, and they don't understand the Divine Nine, black fraternities, black sororities. They don't understand that because they don't have to put a color on any of their stuff because they're the majority.
So I have a question real quick because I heard you say you went to OU. What, you didn't want to go to an HBCU?
You know, the I want to say, I just had a conversation about this the other day. I would have went to Langston if I would have had the mindset, because I always wanted to go where it was us. You know, I grew up watching Different World. I wanted to go to college because I wanted to be Dwayne Wayne. You know what I'm saying? I wanted that experience.
Okay.
I wanted that experience. So
Not Dwayne Wayne.
I don't know really real shit.
No, okay.
It's fine because I want to be
Yeah.
I used to. I wanted to be the girlfriend.
You know what I'm saying? And you know what?
World.
And you know, and my wife, she won't agree with this, but one of my first crushes was Kim. I loved that dark skin. Like, she was gorgeous to me. You know, because she light skinned, so she wouldn't say I'm telling the truth. But just the whole atmosphere. I love Different World, and the thing that stopped me from going to Langston was, one, I had OLAP, which was tuition assistance, and I got accepted to OU. So I'm like, you know, from the stigma, if you get accepted, you're going to go to Langston, you're going to go to OU.
OU.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't think we actually, and I told Dante that, like, we've literally, I think as we've had kids, that, and being in this era of, like, you know, thinking about, like, what is college and how beneficial is college to your kids truly, and having student loans and trying to figure out how ways to keep your kids from, like, having that same issue. And, like, I don't want to have my kid to have this burden. How important is college? Because you could get a trade and you could probably do 10 times better in a trade than if you did a college or 4-year university. But I think what we have to do as parents and as a community is start allowing our children to understand how important HBCUs are, and and how they get that culture, and how they get that, how they are fed into from HBCUs, and how they're taken care of, and how they wrap their arms around them and take that stigma out of that. Because I think that experience that you get from an HBCU is more important than the student loan debt that you get from OU.
Right, because the stigma was that if you go to Langston, it's going to be hood. Once you get the degree ain't going to be worth nothing.
I've heard that a lot.
You know, that was the stigma. So I'm like, well, shit, you know, I got accepted to OU. I got OLAP that's going to pay for tuition, which don't mean nothing. Because the fees and the books are way more than the tuition anyway when you're in state. So, you know, if I could do it over again, I probably would have went to Langston in my undergrad, then got my master's at OU. Because I do feel like that is very important. You have to know how the world works.
Yes.
And the world is not all black.
Yes.
And I feel like Langston is so important because you're gonna get that environment where you're taken care of. You know, and a lot of my homeboys that went to Langston, a lot of my homegirls that went to Langston, that's the main thing that they harp on is they felt like they were loved and taken care of, and that's important for somebody that's the first time they've been away from their home.
Right.
And then you're already going through it because for the most part you're probably broke. You know, you're trying to scrounge up where you're gonna eat if you're not eating at the cafeteria. You know, you're trying to do these things, and plus you have, of course, trying to deal with classes. You know, and if you have a real rough course load, you're going through it, period. So you need that love, you need that home feel. And I feel like that's what Langston gave to a lot of people. When you go to OU, I didn't get none of that. Even when I went to, and I try to reach out to professors, you're talking to white people that don't understand your circumstance. You know, and then you get hit with this large ass bursar bill, and the bursar people, they can't even tell you what half the shit is. Basically, just tell me okay, we're paying for football. Okay. Just tell me, okay, we're paying for the football. We're putting money in Stoops' pockets. All right, just tell me that shit. Just be honest with me, because that's what it was like. You know what I'm saying? So if I could do it over again, I would have went to Langston undergrad, and then for that experience to honestly just deal with white people, I would have went and got my master's at OU. Because our kids need to understand how the world works, and it's not all black. They need to be able to understand how to deal with racism early. They need to understand that because it's not going nowhere. Racism isn't going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I just had a conversation with the homeboy the other day. You know, Trump has made it where poor white people, they feel connected with the president because he's saying everything they want to say. With Obama, though, I feel like the racism was even worse because we have a black man as the commander-in-chief. The racism was crazy in 2008. What? You know what I'm saying? It's just in Trump's era, it's just
covert.
It's just he's the motherfucker saying it. You know what I'm saying?
You know, you might as well just out loud. He just say it.
Yeah, he just say it.
His followers don't have to say it.
You're right. You are right. He do say it for everybody else.
Yeah,
he just say it for everybody else.
Say it.
But you know, going back to the college conversation, I wish I would have went to Langston first.
So now that you're talking about racism, so have you seen the video, like the OU video with the girl?
Yeah, man. I posted something the other day. I was like, I don't understand the fascination with blackface these days.
Me either.
It's now culture appropriation. They've been loving that. Yes. But for these days, for it to be a thing where these white girls or white boys are just loving to put this blackface on. I don't know where it's coming from.
It's been there. I think the issue is we didn't realize it as a culture, and with social media it puts it out.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I think that their grandparents, their parents, their great grandparents, I feel like they all have done it.
Yeah.
And white people, I think the further out it goes. So if my great grandparents did it, my grandparents did it, my parents did it, I just do it now because my parents do it.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily I feel any kind of way about it, but it's just a culture. This is what we do.
Yeah.
It's not nothing wrong with it.
We see it now. That's the only difference.
We're just seeing it now. We're just seeing it now.
Social media, it's out there.
Because they were doing blackface on those. They had literally black and white movies. Where they would have blackface.
Oh, definitely.
And that was like in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, the very first movie, Birth of a Nation, that was worldwide was blackface.
Yeah.
And that was the very first cinematic movie, and that showed us as monkeys. That showed us blackface white men raping white women. That showed mammies, all of that, and that was the very first movie that was highly proclaimed. It was the very first, and that's how it depicted black people. So I don't. When I was a sophomore, I believe I was taking an African American Studies class, and what's funny is I didn't even clown white women. I don't know their intentions. maybe they were there to be educated, but it was a lot of white girls in my AFM classes, right?
It was easy, probably. They felt like
right? I don't know. Maybe they was trying to get an Adrian Peterson or something. I don't know.
Probably.
I don't know.
I can relate
to you.
But I'll never forget. I was in my whole era of I'm reading different things. I'm reading James Baldwin. This is the semester that I first read the autobiography of Malcolm X. So I'm really woke at that time. You know what I'm saying? This is like 2004. And I'm on my mad black man shit, right? And I was just, a light bulb went off for me because it was like this white girl asked, man, we have all these HBCUs. Now, mind you, we're sitting in an OU classroom. She asked, we have all these HBCUs. Why we don't have any historically white universities?
Because they don't understand.
So they don't
that
understand.
Their universities that the universities that they truly currently have, because they've never been told that the university that we're sitting in, OU, is a historically white university.
They don't understand that.
They don't get that. They don't understand that.
So then a light bulb went off for me that they just don't understand.
No, they don't.
They just don't know. So I stopped being angry. At like 19, I understood. They just don't understand. They're just totally oblivious to it, that they probably came from fucking Paul's Valley or something, from podunk ass white place with all white people, and they probably only came across only one black person in their class, and you know, they just don't know. They don't understand. And the only time they seen us was on BET.
So that
You
is
know?
true. They don't know because we're starting a special emphasis group at work, and so for February we're doing Black History stuff. And the deputy, he was like, "Can you put some stuff up on the board about the challenges that Black people go through?" And we like, "What kind of challenges?" And he like, "The challenges, like, you know, the challenges we don't know about, like police stuff, racism." He want all that on the board for people to see because he was like, white people really just don't know.
They don't know because
They
you
don't
don't live
know.
in, because you have to think about it like this.
They honestly
And I
live in
think
a
that
whole
Black
different
people,
world.
yes, and I
They
think
do.
that we also have to remember and understand because we get upset with them.
Yeah.
And it is this level. Okay, so one is this level of ignorance. I believe that ignorance and just not knowing is two different things. Just being stupid to the situation and being like, you know, and you've been educated and someone's told you that's one thing. And then the next thing is what?
Keep talking.
I
You
know
always
you
do
say
that.
Well, okay. Well, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. I feel like one is totally being oblivious, and the other is I know, but I don't care because it doesn't directly affect me.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's what I feel like it is. And see what the only thing that makes me frustrated, because I used to be real big into like debating political stuff. Right now, I post shit on my Instagram, and I don't even look at the comments. I post stuff on Facebook and I see people arguing. I don't even look at the comments because I don't care. My post was how I felt about the situation.
Exactly. Right.
And
I
that's
don't need to debate with you.
Right.
And when I was younger, I was into debating with white people. I don't need to. The facts are there.
Right.
The facts are there. The numbers are there.
Right.
You know, and you know, they love to throw out the black on black crime, but the basis of black on black crime is with anybody that you put in close perimeters with, and you put all of them in one close perimeter, then they're going to kill each other. So when you say black on black crime, the shit is irrelevant because if you put white people around white people, they're going to kill each other. You put Hispanics around Hispanics, they're going to kill each other. So you put a large amount of black people in tight quarters, then yeah, the numbers are going to be high. We're killing each other.
And then you give us limited resources.
Oh,
You
yeah.
traumatize the shit out of us.
Yeah.
And then we don't have an ability to get the fuck out.
Yep.
So have you dealt with racial profiling?
Oh yeah. I used to get pulled out in Dale City saying that my tag light was out. My tag light wasn't out. It was just a car full of niggas.
So what is racial profiling, and does it truly exist? Because I think some people feel like it doesn't exist.
Man, racial profiling is you being able to step into any environment and they already have a stigma about you or a preconceived notion of what you're about to do or your behavior or how you act or your background. That is racial profiling. And to simplify it, I step into a boardroom now at my current company, going to put the name out, and they already know how I'm going to act if you disagree with me.
You said they do know?
Yeah. Why do you think I've been here for a few years and I haven't went off on you yet? I check you when it needs to happen, but I don't throw anything. I don't do anything violent. You know, I've never been I've never had to be escorted out of a conference room for anything. So why do you think I'm gonna act like what you think you've seen on BET or some shit like that? You know what I'm saying? True. So and another example, I'll never forget this shit. I was working for a credit union in college. I have a Kappa Alpha Psi tattoo on my arm. I was wearing a polo so you could see some of my tattoo. Some of my tattoo says blood, sweat, and tears. All they seen on my dark skin was blood. They asked me multiple times while I'm doing their loan. I'm trying to get them accepted. I was a loan officer. I'm trying to get them accepted so they can get a car or a house. They asked me if I used to be a blood or if I am a blood. Now, I'm not going to talk about my blood affiliations.
Man, that's irrelevant at this point.
That's irrelevant.
Your 200 credit score is saying that you cannot get a house.
Right. That's none of your
totally irrelevant.
Yeah, it's totally irrelevant.
It's none of your business.
Yeah, it's none of your business if I have any gang affiliations. I know some people that's affiliated. but you know, I always used to break it down for them that this, and I used to pull it up for them so they could see the K and the candy canes. This is for Kappa Alpha Psi Incorporated, a fraternal organization that I received while I was going to the University of Oklahoma, majoring in business. So, you know, you got to break it down for them like that, but that's profiling.
But that's a good way to come back at it. That's
a
good way to come back
and they're
at
shocked
it.
because that's not what they were expecting.
Right.
But I deal with that a lot too because I deal with the court systems. And I stand in front of, and I've said this before because I've had at my actual cases taken from me and given to a white woman because it was me defending the black family, and the white woman would be heard better because it was the white people hearing me, the black girl, defending the black family. Yeah. And I somehow had to be having this feel of, oh my gosh, I'm just only defending this family because they're black. Yep. Not because what we're doing is wrong. Not because what this family is doing is right. Not because this family is actually in a space where they can take care of this child. But because I'm the black girl trying to speak up for the black family, then I couldn't be heard.
Of course, because the first thing that they see when you walk into a courtroom is your color.
Yes.
And people can beat around it all day, man. Like, you know, I've heard some family, some black people say that I want to raise my child as a man instead of a black man. That's irresponsible. That is irresponsible to raise your black man as a man and him not recognize that he is a black man in a white world. That's irresponsible because you're setting him up for failure.
You have to prepare him.
You have to prepare him because if you raise him to just be a man and to not see color, is like he's gonna be oblivious to when he's being treated bad.
That's true. I tell my son all the time. I have a 17-year-old. He drives now, so it's like, son, when you go out, if you ever pull it up, don't move. You know, you make sure you put your hands there. Because I'm just like, because they're going to take him as a certain way because he has dreadlocks. You know, he has that certain persona. You're on the north side of town. Yeah. You know, so they're going to already, and he's driving a 96 Impala. Yeah. You know, so in they mindset already, you know, when they pulled him over.
Already, he is a threat. He sells drugs. He has a weapon under his seat. I'm going to shoot him if he even flinches.
Yes, and I'm like, baby, don't do it. You know, just keep your hands here. Yes, sir, no, sir. Let them give you whatever they're going to say and keep it pushing.
That's another vital thing about, well, what white people have to deal with and what we was talking about earlier, how they're raised and how we're raised. Our children have to get that talk.
Yes, they do.
They have to get that talk. They have to understand
at a younger age now.
Yep.
And when do you start telling your kids about racial profiling?
Now.
At what age do you start? Because the other issue is this. You do have to, because last year, Legend was the only black kid in the all-white class. And there were times when I would have to get in his teacher's ass and be like, you know, he's okay, he's fine, he's a boy. He's not doing anything different. And there were times that I had to be at this school just popping up and looking and checking on my son because it would be stuff like, oh, well, he jumped off the stairs today.
I think it just depends on the situation and circumstance.
I would
because your son was in an all-white school, so you needed to have that talk with him. Baby, they might treat you different.
Yes.
You need to have that conversation.
At a young age.
School.
At 5, if that's what it takes.
Yeah.
Because we're seen as over-sexualized. We're seen as hyperactive. They don't know how to teach us, so obviously we got ADD. You know, all these different things because they don't know how to interact with us.
Right.
So you know, that's why it's so important. Shout out to Chris Embry. He's a teacher on the East Coast. He's bringing hip hop to the classroom, and a thing that he talks about is if you're a white teacher and you are teaching in a predominantly black environment, you need to go through some type of training. Because the thing about it is you're trying to teach them, then you go back to your nice home and your nice environment. You're trying to teach them about geometry, and they got to go back to wondering if the damn lights is going to be on when they go home. You know, you have to understand, you got to have to understand those circumstances of the children that you're teaching. And white teachers to you know, not to discredit how they may feel or what's in their heart, but they have to understand what they're dealing with.
Yes.
You know, never, because I've had some great white teachers, especially when I went to Dale City High School. Miss Hurt, I'll never forget Miss Hurt. That was my Algebra 2 teacher. She gave me so much attention and helped me so much, but at the same time, she's still not black. She still don't understand what I got to deal with.
Right.
You know, and they need to at least understand, not sympathize, because they can never sympathize if they haven't, will empathize if they've been in that situation, but at least sympathize with the situation.
Exactly.
I feel like we also need to be a bit more careful about how we vet white teachers that teach our black children. If our school is predominantly black, we need to have that discussion. We need to have that talk, especially if you have the ability to do that. Because I feel like you can't teach compassion.
Right.
You cannot teach somebody to be compassionate about someone else's situation.
Right.
And I think sometimes we have our preconceived notions and biases and things that go into whether or not we're able to reach a kid.
Right.
Or whether or not we're able to relate to their kid or to see what's going on with their kid and in their kid's life. And if it's because some of us may feel like, because we do have white people out here that don't believe in social services.
Right.
Well, you getting food stamps and your license off, well, that's your bad and your mama's fault, and she should be out here doing better. And you, exactly. I mean, and you need to work harder. And I don't understand why you over here sleep on the side of, we do have teachers who are in our classrooms who feel like that. We're teaching our kids.
You work with kids, right?
Yeah, I try to do as much mentorship as possible. Right now, I'm working with Mr. William Stubbs. He's I want to say he does logistics for the Oklahoma school system, and he wants to implement a Black Male Initiative, and I'm one of the first guinea pigs. And we'll be into different schools like Centennial, where we'll go into school and mentor these children. And try to give them some type of black role models. But what I love about it is it's a curriculum around it. It's not just me going into the school system and sitting down with them and just chopping it up with them. You know, we have a rationale behind what we're trying to teach them and train these kids. And that's what I love about it, because other mentorship programs I've been with, you're just basically just spending time with them. Excuse me. And anything that you know as a man, yeah, you're trying to impart that knowledge, but it's no structure.
Right.
So if me and Blow Joe are both mentors, we're teaching our kids totally two different things.
Exactly.
When it needs to be like a higher standard.
Right.
And that's what Mr. William Stubbs has done, and he's pulled me in for that, which I'm very grateful, because at the end of the day, I just always been about mentorship. Even when I was in college, I was trying to mentor younger people, just because you got to give back. Like that's why I created my nonprofit, Brothers for Progress. It was all about the mindset of, I went through college and nobody gave me the tools, gave me the resources that I need. I used to talk to young white kids, and they would have all type of different scholarships I never heard of. They would have all type of different grants I never heard of, different tuition assistance. They have rich parents and basically getting all of their school paid for anyway.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
they keep it within their
exactly.
little community or whatever. They don't tell people about it.
So you know what happens with financial aid? If your mother makes, let's say you come from a single home,
$25,000.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
who making that? Who can live off of that? So
Right.
you know, a lot of people ain't gonna qualify.
Right.
I mean,
So,
if you make
don't qualify,
$25,000, you qualify for financial
But I
aid.
don't
But
know
if your
what
mama
the limit is. I know I don't qualify.
So let's say that if you're a
if
you're a state employee, I'm just gonna say that because they always pay state employees about right above, maybe you about $4,000 above the limit.
Yeah.
So if you making, say, because OLAP,
Yep, that's what I
Oklahoma
had.
Promise.
That's what I had.
In order to get Oklahoma Promise, your parent has to make $50,000 or less for you to initially apply.
Yeah.
And then once you apply, then your parent has to make less than $100,000.
Yeah.
But if you say, for instance, you got two parents in your home, your mom and your daddy are there, both of them are state employees, but they make about $54,000 apiece, so they're making $108,000.
Yeah.
You're not gonna qualify.
Yep.
And it does, the $8,000 ain't gonna cover your child's daycare. Not daycare. I'm sorry, your child's college.
I'm going crazy.
Dang.
Hey, so they going to a beat.
Look, I ain't had no edibles. I'm like, am I tripping?
Yeah, I'm like, I heard
I think that she was high over here.
But I'm looking at Dante looking at her like, do I hear it? I'm waiting till you say it. I was like, maybe I'm tripping.
So
if they don't hear it. Yeah.
But if your parent makes
Going
a
back to
little
that
bit
though,
more.
I had OLAP. And, you know, I had OLAP, but it's like, okay, I think my mom might have got me OLAP in 8th grade. You know, I was making the grades. You know, she had the right amount of income, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I think we applied about
But her
8th grade
income for finding for FAFSA
Exactly.
is different.
Exactly. So when it comes to FAFSA, you can't apply for a whole bunch of shit.
Right.
But these white folks, they know so many different sources, so many different resources that their parents are rich as hell and they still not paying for their college because they already know so many different resources.
Exactly.
And that's the thing with black kids, they don't know the resources. So when I initiated my nonprofit, it was like, I want to provide all the resources. I want to do all the research for the kids to be able to go and do these things that I didn't know about. So that was my big thing about it. It was mainly built around financial literacy. So I try to do financial literacy workshops, and I'm working with a couple of different people that are tax specialists because they want to focus on the tax and getting your credit repaired. Shout out to Kerry Matthews. Shout out to Rodney Lamb in Texas, Truth Induced. They want to focus on credit repair and such. And my thing is, I talked to, I gave a seminar for some kids last spring that are about to all black students are about to graduate OU and didn't know how to buy a car and didn't know nothing about credit repair.
I think it's awesome that you're doing that because that's not talked about. It's not talked about in the black community, and so many people are messing up their credit. You know, right when they get into college or right when they come out. You know, because they just don't know.
But and think about that. Think about that. They're getting a, let's say, $100,000 education at OU, and they don't even know how to buy a car.
Exactly.
But that's the other thing is because as parents, we if we don't know about credit,
exactly,
nobody passed it down to us.
Exactly, and
we don't really know, or we're ashamed.
Yeah.
So we don't really want to speak up and say, you know, oh, mama didn't do it right.
Yeah, but I still think it's something that need to be taught in school.
I think
teaching everything else.
I think it's very important.
Teach how to survive.
To have that discussion about. But the thing is, white kids, if your kid go to an all-white school, white kids get it.
Yeah,
they get it at home.
White kids get it anyway because they get it at home.
Right.
And you know, I never forget this. And you know, not to put out my mama, but one thing I'll never forget as a kid. I asked her how much she made annually, and I got scolded for that. She said it wasn't none of my business. It wasn't none of my business. But see, but that's so vital though. We need to, and all I was trying to do, I think I was about 8 or 9. All I was trying to do was assess what it looks like. I know how we lived. I never wanted for anything, but I never wanted to put it on my single mom to ask for everything.
Exactly.
So I wanted to compare, if you make $45 a year or something like that, okay, this is what I can live like if we make $45 a year. I wanted to be able to compare it to something. You know what I mean? So that's what as an 8 or 9 year old, that's what I was asking about. I was just trying to compare it. Okay, this is what $50,000 look like a year. This what 60 looks like. That's what I just was trying to compare. And as a black parent, she didn't even want to give me that. And I think that still goes on today. We need to sit down with our kids and one thing, I forgot the author's name, but it's a black lady. She writes a great book about it's something like making sense make sense. And man, it's you can get it on Amazon. It's a super dope book. It's like a Bible for black people when it comes to financial literacy. And it breaks down stuff from insurance to car insurance to health insurance to credit repair. It breaks it down, and it's a dope ass book. But anyway, one thing that she says about it is, as a very young child, make your kids financial beings. Make them think of themselves as financial beings. As in, Don't go to school to get an education to work for somebody else. Create something of your own that's needed in the community, needed in the industry, where you can be your own boss. And we don't get taught that. We don't get taught that. We get taught as black people, boy, you need to go to school so you can get a good job.
And work for somebody else.
Not for yourself.
White kids are not taught that.
No, they're not.
They're not taught
Well, see, the other thing about it is this. Like, I think that black kids, one, a lot of us are living in single parent homes, and as a single mother, just as myself, I can't speak for anybody else. You working constantly on a grind. You always grinding. You always trying to figure out how to put this over here.
You're too busy and tired to talk about credit.
You're too busy and tired to talk about what my credit look like. And when my kids ask about my income or they ask about my money, then I automatically get defensive because that is already something that I haven't internalized and thought about, because I may feel some kind of way about the fact that I am the financial being in my household.
Yeah.
I talked to my kids about it, and my daughter, I put her on my credit. She's on a couple of my credit cards as authorized user to build that. She's not able to use it, but just so she'll have that credit.
And that's smart too, because what that's doing is, which I've seen it with white kids. When I was going to OU, these kids were graduating with bullshit degrees, but they already knew they was gonna work for daddy anyway.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
daddy or somebody he knows got a company that's all you gotta do is get a degree from OU, and I'm gonna put you on.
Right.
Your damn degree could be in bowling.
Right.
But I'm gonna put you on because you got a degree.
Right.
And so once you get put on, your parents have already been nurturing your credit report. So at 20 or 21, you have at least job that's making 65 to 70 a year.
Yep.
And I'm gonna put a house in your name because I've been nurturing your credit since you was like 18 anyway. You know, you get those, but they know though.
Right.
Our parents just don't know.
Right.
And you can't blame them for that. But the thing about it is, we know now. So we have to do the right thing by our kids because we know better now.
Right.
I can't blame my mama for that because she just didn't know.
Right.
But I can blame myself if I don't do the same for Coco and Mila because I know better.
Right.
I need to put maybe like I seen something where you put LLC in your kid's name, and that builds them to have a business account early. It builds those different credits early. And when you're doing those transactions in your kid's name in a good manner.
The black community got a bad.
You had a cable bill since you was 4 years.
Exactly. So when you're doing that in a strategic manner, by the time they're 19, they have credit experience and a great credit score.
Right.
Then they can go out as a 21-year-old and get a house.
And a car.
And a good interest rate. Not paying 21%.
And mind you, while they're doing that, you've already set them up with good resources where they don't have student loan debt.
Exactly.
So you have to understand, these white kids are coming out of college without student loan debt, with a good-ass job, and a house.
Right.
At 21.
Right.
Making at least 65, 70K.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what we need to do for our kids.
So where's the disconnect? Because it's like we're having this conversation and we know... like our parents didn't do that for us, but a lot of people are still not doing. They know, but they're still not doing it for their children.
But then again, Dante, you have to think about it like this: if I'm struggling still, I might be a single parent who makes it look good, but I still might be struggling with my credit report. I might be struggling with how I'm supposed to get it. But you teach that. But then you have to come out of that level of, again, like I said, a lot of us still ain't dealt with their trauma.
It's the same thing I was talking earlier with men in the blinders. We as black people as a whole have our blinders on because we still going through our struggle. So it's hard to turn around and teach the people that's coming up, not even our kids, just teach people in general underneath us to try to pull them up with some knowledge because I'm still going through it. Like you look at people that's in their 40s and 50s, they still going through it. They still trying to make a living for themselves. So it's hard for me to turn around and teach a 20-something or 19-year-old something when I'm still trying to deal with the world.
I know for me, I just learned from watching my own mom, like, interest rates, high interest rates, stuff getting cut off, whatever. Like, I learned from that. And it was like, I don't want that.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And that's the key thing too. Like, and even when you go to the I don't want that makes me think of absentee fathers. because I mean that's because I grew up with just my mom and my pops. He was in Spencer, and I can probably count the times I seen him on two hands, and he lives in Spencer.
Right.
Oh,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
sad.
So, but I see that on a regular. Matter of fact, I've heard some niggas, and I'm gonna call them niggas because that's what they is. I've heard some niggas say, "I survived and end up pretty good, and I barely see my pops, so my kids will be okay." What type of mindset is that?
Crazy mindset.
What type of mindset is to have that? I'm gonna give my kids less than because I had less than and I turned okay.
So they'll be okay.
But obviously you didn't turn okay because you can't even manifest in your mind that I should be giving my kid better anyway.
I should be giving my kids more.
Yeah,
you know,
we shouldn't repeat this cycle.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
We normalize stuff like that.
Like and basically what we're doing is we're normalizing dysfunction. We're normalizing dysfunction. And what it's going to do is it's going to be generation is going to by generation it's going to keep affecting us.
Right.
And that's the disconnect that Dante was talking about. Is like, what is the disconnect? Why do we keep repeating it? It's because people in our generation keep allowing it to keep going on.
Exactly.
If all of us just stood up and said we're going to do stuff differently, then yeah, it would change. But all of us is now on one accord.
But I think also that's, and this is not to say that, I don't want to knock every single person, but I think I've said before that sometimes we have to learn how to live with ourselves.
Mm.
And if I never really dealt with why my dad wasn't around, or why my dad didn't love me enough to be here, or why my dad didn't make the effort to be more of a father to me, then I have to internalize that. And I think that again, we have had in the black community, there's so many different levels of trauma that we all have to stop and deal with in order for us to push forward and help others. Because you can't really help somebody else in a situation where you're stuck and don't really know how to help yourself. Yeah. And so I think a lot of us haven't really dealt with that. Your daddy wasn't there. So what if at 5 years old my daddy wasn't there and I felt less than because I went to school and everybody else's daddy was there. Yeah. And so in order for me to deal with that, I internalized and said, well, fuck it. I don't care. I don't need him there. Yeah. And so then you went from I really want him there to I don't need him there. And so I've internalized that, and now that's what I put out for my kids. Yeah. So I haven't really dealt with my own issues in the way that I feel about how my daddy wasn't there for me. And so I can't really be a daddy for somebody else because I haven't really internalized and dealt with what that looks like for me.
And it's a quote out there. It says something like, "Black people don't know shit about therapy." Because what do we think? We always think that's some white people stuff, and that's what it is. It's us internally dealing with our stuff, dealing with all the trauma we've been through. It's always swept under the rug when a young girl in a family gets raped by her uncle. It always gets swept under the rug when somebody's touching somebody and even the mama will be like, well, you brought it on yourself. I've heard plenty of that. It's always swept under the rug when we're dealing with our trauma and we don't ever want to speak about it. So when it comes to black fathers, no, we're not talking about our father not being there. We're trying to rationalize why it's okay for us to not be there.
So I have a question for you, because you just said that you've heard somebody say, I turned out okay, so my kids will be okay. What do you come back with when you hear like one of your friends say something like that?
Well, one, I tell them, why wouldn't you want to give your child more than what you had? You know what you was missing. Every man understands what they were missing. You can, if you are, I call it socially intelligent. If you can look at your surroundings and understand and then be able to speak to it, you're socially intelligent. You know what's going on around you and you can recognize it and then you can speak to it. So if your father wasn't showing up for graduations. If you never seen him at any type of your events. If you seen your mother struggle when it would have been much easier for her with two incomes in the house. Right. You see those different things. Like for instance, I remember when I was from maybe 5th grade to 9th grade, I was getting a check from my pops, and I guess it was within some type of, I don't know what the system
like
is
child
called.
support.
Child support, yeah. Like child support check.
Look at this black man that don't know what child support is.
But that's a good thing.
That's a
clearly it's not child support. Maybe it's something else.
Yeah. So
child support. But it's all right. You know what? We commend the fact that you don't know what child support is, and I think more black men should have that mentality of taking care of their kids. And you don't have to be afraid of things like child support.
So you say you were getting a check?
Yeah. So
Child support check.
Whatever that system was called, child support. So I was getting an $8 child support for like about 4 or 5 years.
$8.
Mine's 10.
My mama used to be like, "Boy, you can't even get your hair cut with that check."
Exactly.
And I just thought it was funny, like, why?
Why does she keep reminding you?
Why is this $8 coming? Why is it even coming? Like to me, I'm just like, thinking bigger. To me, that's just like the white man getting his hands into some shit that he ain't got no business into. Because at the end of the day, the $8 is not doing nothing for me anyway. For what my mama has to do on a day-to-day, this $8 ain't doing shit but maybe degrading my pops wherever he at, doing whatever he doing, because he know he got like 7 kids and all of them have to get a piece of whatever he got coming in. Yeah. So,
and it's an insult to your mom to even say $8 to her house.
Very much
That's
so.
an insult.
Very much so.
What am I gonna do with
if I got that $10 check? I would be like, I don't even get the $10 check.
By the end of the year, it's $120 if you put it in.
And I don't even get that. You hear me? But that's okay because I'm not gonna beg for those $10. You know what I'm saying?
So even at the end of the year, it'd be like $120 check. But I'm like, I mean that's disrespectful to my mama that has to take care of me every single day. And like I said, I've seen my pops on maybe 10 occasions. I don't remember as a little child, but when it counted, as a young man, I don't ever remember seeing them. You know what I mean? So that mindset that my kids are gonna be okay because my father, I went without a father. It just doesn't make sense. To me, it's a point of trauma that you haven't been able to deal with. So you're just going to continue the cycle because you didn't want to deal with it. And to go back on even, the uncle touching the kids, I feel like when a mother has been touched, then her child is touched, then she hasn't dealt with the trauma.
Right. Exactly.
So she allows her daughter to deal with the trauma. And you see it on black movies all the time. Tyler Perry good at showing that. It's like, well, she's talking to the daughter like, well, I dealt with it. That's just life. You can deal with it.
Well, I think also I had a thought this week, and I think sometimes we have this, and white people do the same thing, but the more educated we are, the more we have this expectation that this is just not normal. And I think some people live their lives in a way that shit is just normal. Like, I have a kid on my caseload currently that I'm, like, trying to push her to school and push her to get this, you got to do better because your family. But if 99% of your family is on food stamps, on Section 8, that's just how they live, and they surviving, this is our norm. Yeah. And you're coming in and... Let me go even further to say that the aunt the grandma that's not living like that has been called bougie. Oh, y'all think y'all better than us.
Yep.
So, because y'all don't live like that, y'all think y'all better than us, so y'all just look down on us. Mm-hmm. So if my dad, my mom, my cousin, my aunt, my uncle, my best friend, her baby daddy, everybody, 99% if 99% of my family and 99% of my environment lives like this,
it's the norm.
It is the norm, and everything you are saying to me is not the norm.
Yeah, but that's like a self thing because, I could say the same thing, like how I grew up, but I knew that as a child, that's not the environment I wanted.
As a child, something in you said, this is different for me.
I will say
that doesn't do that for everybody. I
will say,
Thank God it did.
I even talked to my homeboys that got their doctorates in education. I was like, man, if I ever get my doctorate, I want to study that. I want to study what's the difference between two children being raised in a totally same environment, but one hits a switch. Like, I got more motivation. I want more for myself.
Yes, because that happens often.
Because what's the difference between that person and the other?
Because you can have twins. Because on my caseload, you have the sister who's the twin who lives in Edmond, the brother who's the twin who lives on the south side, who's collecting food stamps and Section 8 and ain't working, and the sister who gets up and goes to work every day, and she got 2 jobs.
That would be a good study. I would want to know that too, because I guess for me, sometimes I can't understand why somebody want to stay in their situation.
Like, especially you have 2 people who've seen the same thing. They've both been around crackheads. They've both been around DHS representatives coming to the house all the time. You've seen people being murdered in front of you because of the situation, the housing that you've been stationed in. You see the things. Both people, both kids see the same thing, but somebody has a switch that goes off. Like,
and that's how it happened in ours. My grandma raised me, my sister, two of my sisters, my brother, my cousins. They all, the boys is all locked up. Yeah. My older sister, ain't where she should be in life. And it's just like me, my sister and brother that had a different mindset and only did something out of all the kids grandma raised. Like something triggered, even though we had a bad situation. Our mom and daddy wasn't there. They was, in the streets and they was doing this and that. But we just had a different mindset and we've never, just us 3.
Yeah.
Do you think it's genetics?
I don't know. That's what I want to research. I want to know. I want to know what's that trigger, because you're in the same environment.
I think that some kids, and I'm going to say this, some kids are more compassionate to the situation, whereas other kids see the situation, see as something wrong with the situation. Mm-hmm. Some kids can live in it, and I say that because I deal with, the kids I deal with, you'll have 2 different set of kids. You'll have one kid who sees that there is completely something wrong with the way we've been raised. Yeah. And you have those other ones who compassionately love their parents no matter what it looked like, no matter how it looked, no matter how poor we are, no matter what they didn't do, no matter what happened to me. They have a compassion for their parents that surpasses the ability for them to look beyond that situation. Yeah. Yeah. So for them, their parents and how they feel takes precedent to their own ability to move past
and you know what?
that.
I've always felt like for somebody to be like super successful, that you have to be a little less compassionate.
You do,
because you have to be able to push things aside and turn it off and be like, look, I got to go get it.
Yep.
Okay. So maybe it's a good thing I don't have a lot of compassion. No.
Different.
I like compassion.
But I do think that a lot of kids that are very compassionate about the situation don't move past the situation very far. The ones that don't have that compassion for their parents, that have the ability to see the wrong in their parents. Yeah. They have the ability to see what was wrong in the situation and the ability to see that this shit wasn't right and we probably shouldn't have been here and somebody should have. Those are the kids that you typically see push past, and those are the ones on my caseload that I see that are very successful, that go on and get their degrees. But it's the ones that are that hold that compassion in their hearts for their parents that I can't ever get to. You can't never get into them.
Yeah,
because
they can't see. I say most of them, because if you got the compassion, I mean, I can understand somebody having that compassion. But
I see the wrong too, though.
Yeah, right. I can see somebody seeing the compassion and being like, they can put the compassion right there and the normalizing of the situation. They have so much compassion for the situation that the shit's normal. So why dream bigger?
My mama's trying. My daddy trying. They trying. Yeah. They love me, but they trying. Because they can't see past the fact that my mom and my daddy should be providing for me every single day. But my mama's trying, and my mama cries, and my mama feels bad, and my mama's on drugs, and they can't see the wrong. They're compassionate. They're blind. Their compassion for their parent and their love for their parent makes them blind. Yeah. All they see is the weakness in their parents.
I never thought about the compassion.
Yes. Yeah. All they see is the weakness in their parents. You have the other ones that see the weakness in their parents and say, but that shit still ain't right.
Yeah.
And my mama,
I think that's for me because I couldn't understand certain things. Why
can't you?
Why are you?
Because I felt the compassion.
Yeah.
Like I love you because you gave birth to me, and I'm gracious. I'm definitely grateful for that. But hey, I know this ain't how it's supposed to be.
And I was grateful for my mom
too. Not what I'm gonna put my kids through. You know what I'm saying?
But I couldn't understand.
Right.
I didn't. I wasn't like, oh my. I mean, I know she worked hard, but I still couldn't understand. Like, why are you putting up with this?
Right,
exactly.
Like it wasn't. So.
And some of them, and I've seen that so much, and it's like I said, it wasn't until this week. I promise y'all to that switch, because we've literally tried I've tried everything that I can try to get her in school, and I stopped and I said, you know what? We are pushing her for something that she don't feel like it's important. Yeah. And she sees this, and all her entire family, ain't none of them going to school.
Yeah.
Hell, we got the 6-year-old that's still at home. Girl, I done showed up to pick her up, and it's a 6-year-old looking at the blinds. Why he looking at the blinds and ain't at school? But nobody values that.
Yeah.
And so you trying
the whole family don't value it.
Right. You trying to put something into somebody, and you trying to say that. And if I say to myself,
but don't stop though. Don't stop.
And I get that you don't stop doing it.
Yeah.
You don't stop doing it. But what the problem that we have is that I think some of us value loyalty. Yeah. I think some level of loyalty will keep some of us in spaces that will not grow us ever.
Yeah, and you know the famous quote say, everybody can't come with you.
That is true.
But if I had to leave my mom and my daddy, some of us so loyal to the fact that I ain't never leaving my mom and daddy. They crackheads, they broke, they ain't got shit, so I'm gonna stay right here with them.
And those type of people, all they gonna do all your life is while you become successful, they just gonna keep pulling.
They gonna drain you.
They gonna drain you.
And that's what I'm seeing. That's what I'm seeing with a lot of my mentees that are going to college. They're going to UCO and OU. These young black kids, they're still. They feel guilty because they're in a predominantly white environment. Tuition pays for stuff, but they're getting fed every day. They have a place to lay their head that's heated and cooled. They're in these dorms. They're amongst these scholars. Blase blah. But their mom and their younger siblings are still going through it on the east side.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So they feel guilty. So that shit pulls them from them taking care of their education. They can't concentrate in class because they know the lights are out at the mom's house.
At some point you got to turn it off. And at some point you got to become selfish.
But I think sometimes it's selfish for parents, though, to expect their kids to help them and do, and to depend on their kids.
You have to
let your kids know. Let your kids live their life.
Right.
And you take care of what you need to take care of. Quit draining your kids.
Yes. The situation I'm talking about, the dad in that case was livid. That I didn't send her. She made a decision. I just talked to her. She made a decision to go move out to Edmond with her aunt who is doing better. He would not rest about where she was living. She's currently living in lower standards, not with him, but it ain't no better than him, and he don't have no problem with that.
Just because
she's not living, because that makes you better than me. Yeah. That makes you, but as
that's just dealing with people in general that we deal with on a daily basis.
But it's different when it comes from your parents,
right there,
because you want acceptance from your. If you ain't got your mom and all you got, you ain't got your daddy and all you got is your mom, and your mama standing on top of you, and the rest of us can say, because I have silenced my mama's voice, and I've silenced how my mama feels, and I've silenced a lot of what my mama's criticisms might be. I've been able to separate myself from that and say that I still got to do what's best for me and my kids. But if you don't have the ability to be that kid, and that's been your life since you was 4 or 5, they think they better than us, and I'm bitter and I'm mad and I'm pissed off, and I ingrain in you that is they just think they better than us. Yeah. And that if you love me, then you live like this because this is what's best for us.
That's exactly how it is. And at the end of the day, it's still that same old crabs in a bucket mentality.
Yes.
It's just your parents. And the fact is, it's hard to separate yourself from your mom and your daddy and to walk away from your mom and your daddy and say, you know what, mama, I love you. You know what, daddy, I love you, but I want better for me and my kids.
It's not just the parents, though. It's just people in general.
Right.
In general. But you get it. It starts at home, and then your surroundings do the same thing, and so you just pull. Everybody's pulling from
you. Right. Yeah. But it's a little different when it's your friends. because I can cut you off as a friend, as
It's
a
not,
parent.
because
It's
sometimes
hard.
you except them friends is like family because you ain't
It depends on
your dynamics.
It depends on your dynamics because like look at teenagers for instance. They go to their peers like they done live life. You know what I mean?
Oh,
they look at you as a parent like you don't know nothing.
Right.
But they look at you. They look at their peers that's as old as them, ain't been through nothing except what they've been through, but they think they know everything. So it depends on your sense of value and where you value whose opinion and such.
And also think about this. What if my mom or dad has never been wrong to me? They've loved me. They tell me they care about me. They just ain't got shit.
Yeah.
Y'all got to think about how hard that is. My mama and daddy may not necessarily be wrong to me, but they buy me every time they get their little 50 cent. They take me to the store and buy me their little 50 cent candy. And that may be their last 50 cent, but they buy because they value me enough to say, okay, I love you. And they hug me and they rock me to sleep. And how do I stop and tell you that I don't think the way you living is right?
Yeah.
That's hard to look my mom in her face and say, Mama, I love you, but this shit ain't right.
Yeah.
Mama, I love you. This shit ain't right. That's a hard thing because hell, as women, me and you can't tell. It's hard to tell a man that.
Yeah.
So how do you get mentees on like under you? Because I have 2 boys. I'm just curious.
It's funny. It's funny. A lot of times people just DM me.
Really?
Yeah. People just DM me a lot of times. Sometimes through programs because people will just see me moving in the street and they'll be like, "Hey man, I want you to be a part of this program I'm doing, and I'll be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get mentees like that." Shout out to Stevie Johnson and BMI UCO. I do mentorship with them in their program. I did my first adjunct professor gig this past fall semester, which was dope for me.
Okay.
It was 60 young black men, and they're put in a position where they'll be with each other in different programs through their whole college
amazing.
career.
That's nice.
They'll have that brotherhood through the whole
All the way through.
career.
Nice.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, so but their very first semester with each other, they have a class, and that's the one that I'm teaching.
What class is that?
Basically, it's part of the Success Central class, but we get to teach it how we want to teach it. The other Success Central, if you ever had, I'm trying to think of what it was called at OU, but basically it's a class that teaches you library skills.
Yeah, like how to navigate the university.
Yeah. But we dug into real shit. We dug into what it's like to be a black male on a white campus. We dug into credit repair. We dug into how to build your credit. We dug into mental and physical health. We dug into those important things that may not really have been instilled in that young black man in high school or such. So it was dope because you see, one thing I really am enjoying about being a teacher or a professor is that you get to see the kids develop in front of you, and you're seeing relationships within themselves because they might be shy, but by the end of the semester, they're talking. They're being vocal. They're expressing themselves, different things like that. So you see the growth by the end of the semester.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I'm really digging that. But me being a mentor though, I think I've been doing that since high school. Just anything that I've learned, and I'm just trying to give to the next person. And I feel like we miss that a lot in our community because, like you said, we're still too busy dealing with our own trauma to give back to the person behind us. And I feel like we miss a lot of missteps as black people if we just did that. If we just did that little bit right
Just
there.
stopped and said,
Yeah.
you know what? When I was a freshman, I utilized this scholarship. Because a lot of us, the other issue is we be so scared to pass a resource down because we scared that if we give you the name of the resource, then we ain't going to get it no more.
Man, I see that all the time in the corporate world.
Like if we tell you...
How many times in government sectors have you ever seen maybe one black person that's an executive, and you want to be like, oh man, I ain't never seen no black executive. I want them to be my mentor. You reach out to them. You have lunch with them. They don't tell you shit.
They don't want to tell you.
All they doing the whole time is stunting.
Right.
Talking about what they've done, what they plan to do, who they have relationships with, who their network is, down to the point where they telling you about the different type of cars they got.
Right.
Exactly.
But they ain't telling you nothing about how can I get to where you are.
Because you are a threat,
You're
and they don't want you to take their position.
Yes.
They're not going to tell you
Yes.
anything.
Right.
And that's the same. Going back to the crabs in a bucket,
Yes.
we can't even pull up the next person behind us because we're afraid that they'll get where we at, and we already know. And I'm speaking as we as the executive. We know we're the token.
Yes.
Yes.
But goddamn it can only be one token.
Token. It can't be too many of us.
It can't be too many of us. It can't be too many of us.
It can't be too many
So
of
I
us.
can't give you the game.
Right.
That I've learned the past 15, 20 years. I can't give you the game because then I'm just going to be handing it to you and your ass going to be up here with me.
Right.
And I don't know what the white man might do with me because
Right.
I'm older.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
I'm older. My time is coming to a point, and
And I
I still
get
got to
paid more.
continue. Right.
And I get paid more because I have
Exactly.
more experience.
Exactly.
And I got to continue to take care of me and my family. So I got to protect what's best for me. And I do understand that to an extent, but I think that the problem that we have is when we talk about, black-owned businesses in the black community, is we don't pass along enough to be able to build up our community in a space where we keep saying, well, black-owned businesses is important, and we need to have this black-owned, we need to have this, but our community doesn't work together enough for it to be strong enough for us to say, so what we want in a black-owned community is you want it to be able to be a space where we no longer have to depend on the white man.
Yeah.
That he no longer bears that much.
We got to change our mindset.
Yeah.
Man, I could talk about black-owned businesses all day. Like, I don't consider myself an entrepreneur. And shout out to all the entrepreneurs I see doing their thing in Oklahoma City. But I hate to hear, you talk to one entrepreneur and they had a business venture with somebody else, and then suddenly the business venture just goes away, and you ask that entrepreneur, hey man, you was working with that one brother, that good brother so and so. What happened with that? Oh, we just had creative differences. White people don't have creative differences. That's what we have to understand. That's the difference. And even Elijah Muhammad will teach in Muslim, and I don't even study that. He will teach, learn from the white man, because what he's doing is how America's ran. So we need to learn that because basketball was not created by the black man, but you see who does it better.
Right.
Okay.
Now we need to be the owners,
right.
But you see who play it better.
Right.
We need to create the sport.
Right.
I say that to say that we need to take those business tactics and strategies and use it in our own community. And what we do is, I always use this analogy. Deshaun and Trayvon will have $1 million each. Deshaun will look at Trayvon and be like, fuck that nigga. I got my $1 million. I do what I need to do with it. Brad and Trevor will be like, Brad got $1 million. We should put that shit together.
Yes.
And have $2 million to do something big. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but Deshaun and Trayvon is like, nah, man, fuck that nigga. I do my own thing.
Right.
And that's what's so detrimental to us because we have that egotistical, individualistic mindset. We have that superstar mindset.
Yes.
That we want to be the only ones doing it.
We're the only ones doing it, because if we the only ones doing it, it makes it better. We getting the hype, we getting the clout, we getting the everybody loves us, everybody sees us. I don't have to share the spotlight, I don't have to share the profit, I don't have to share the opinion. Because this is the other thing. You have to learn how to get along.
Have to get along. So have to get along. So forget a creative difference. If you and another person have the same mission, you both want to do the same thing, how are you letting little things deter you from working with somebody else that's as talented and gifted as you, and y'all put that together and do something dope? Like I'm working with a brother, Mr. DeMarco Robinson. aka Fresh. So all right. So he has his summer thing that he does in the summer, right, with boys, right?
We're sorry. We were kind of schooled by him, but anyways.
Yeah.
Yes, I did see his summer program.
Okay.
I think that it's a really good thing. And even though we did have our differences business-wise, I would like to look into that for my sons in the summer.
So I use that as an example because with my nonprofit Brothers for Progress, I wanted to do something just like that. Why create
recreate it?
Why recreate it when he's been doing it for the past 3 years successfully?
And you can partner up.
Right.
And you can partner up. So now I'm a partner with him in doing that in the summertime.
That's awesome.
That's something that black people need to do on a regular. Why try to recreate the wheel? That's why you have all these and not to shit on other stuff, and I'll say it over and over again. The Poetry Groove right now was created by Mark Fleming, J Wig, and Proverb. They created, everybody else is copying. And you can be mad at me, see me when you see me.
That hood came out.
See me when you see me.
Everybody recreated, right?
Right.
But what if everybody that was so creative and so passionate about poetry came to Mark Fleming and they all built something huge?
Yep.
That's how we need to operate.
That's true.
That's how we need to operate. If we have the same mission and the same goals, work together
and pour it into each other.
Because that's what the white man is doing.
Yeah. And that's what they've been doing. And that's what they've been doing. They know how to set aside. Brad slept with the hit with Trevor's wife.
Exactly.
And they don't care.
they can have and this is realistic.
Brad's wife can leave him and go to Trevor and they'll still be working together as business partners.
And you can Google this type of shit. They white people they know their lineage. They can have generations of hate between each other and still make millions and billions
work together.
Yes.
Exactly. That's true.
That is true.
And we be mad over hundreds of dollars.
Right. Right. Hold on, Game of Thrones is one of them. Hold on, you see where you have the one son that's the midget, but they still, I don't care how much they care, they don't care about their son. Yeah. They still take care of his ass.
Yeah, because
they still make sure he's good because he's a part of their lineage.
They're able to look past it, and even if it's selfishly just thinking about the monetary gain, they're able to look past it and take care of business.
And that's what black people need to
that's
look
something
past.
Black people is not doing.
Just like that's two brothers that a brother killed his brother he killed him over some money. They just had a fight. Did y'all see that? Where the brother killed his brother over some money. They got into a little scuffle about the brother, and then the brother shot himself in front of the mom. Girl, just over just money. Girl, that was old.
But it's all
self-hate. Girl.
It's all self-hate. Like, I mean, the thing is, we've been ingrained for so many years. They started that shit off in the damn plantation where I was better than you.
Willie Lynch.
Yeah, I was better than you, and how but that is it's still, no matter how much we love to say we're past that.
That's why I hate to hear. That's why I hate to hear the whole "let slavery go." White people don't understand how slavery is still affecting us. We haven't got over it now. No. Now I'm big, as in my poetry and everything. I'm big on, all right, slavery was a long time ago, and it's still detrimental to us. But we recognize it, so let's change how we act now. Let's change our behaviors. Let's get that shit together. Now, if you know me, I'm all for blaming the white man. I am big on that shit. But I'm also big on taking responsibility for yourself. And because you know the problem, now you need to find a resolution.
But I think that it's easier said than done. I say that because I work in a system that's hard as fuck for black people to get out of. I watch white people take black people's kids on a regular basis, and I see how easy this shit is. Yeah. It's easy as fuck for a white person. When you get stuck, our system is just as bad as any other system, and I have to tell people that on a regular basis. Black people come in and they look at me and I say, you know what? I'm sorry, you got to tap toe. You got to tap dance. Yeah. You gonna have to do exactly what the fuck they want you to do. Yeah. To get your ass the fuck up out of here, and you got to learn how to play that game.
And that's one thing too.
We get stuck in these systems.
I go back to white folks know how to play the game. Like I tell young black employees when they come into my 9 to 5, I tell them you need to learn how to play the game. If you get into it with somebody, Don't go off on them. You need to learn how to do what Sally does.
Yep.
Sally takes her ass down to HR and files a complaint.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that shit can be on record of what's going on between her and her manager. And that's what you need to do. You don't need to go off on them where everybody sees you going off on so-and-so. Because now, you're the mad black woman.
Yep.
Exactly.
Now, you're the mad black man. They're going to discredit anything you say because they already seen you call him all type of motherfuckers in the conference room. So everything that you have to say that might be rational, logical, whatever, you're discredited off bat. We need to learn how to play their game.
Because you got to learn how to live in their system because they created the system.
Yeah.
As much as we hate to say, oh my gosh, like even when we talk about like racial profiling, we talk about the criminal system, we talk about the child welfare system, we talk about the food stamp system, we talk about the welfare. Any of those systems, those are systems that were created by white people for white people.
Yeah.
And that criminal system has become one of the biggest enemies in black community because we got to learn how to play the system. Yeah. You got to learn how to get the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
And how to move around it and how to maneuver within it and how to figure out how not to get stuck in it so that when you don't get stuck in it, you can figure out how to live your life in a way that allows you to be able to make a bigger and better opportunity for others.
And see, and black people talk that big shit, which goes back to like having a Wakanda mindset. Yeah, it sounds great to have our own economically functional technology, advanced environment, society of our own, but nigga, we get mad at each other over $100.
Yeah.
Like we can't even make a little community event go well because either we're being unprofessional or we're not valuing each other's skills and what we bring to the table. We don't value each other.
And black people don't like to feel disrespected or don't talk to me crazy. And once you do that, like it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't value each other when it comes to business owners either, and I think that's so bad that pushes us so backwards when it comes to trying to evolve in our Wakanda mindset.
But we also got to be careful about what we call business.
Very true, very true. I've seen it on two levels because I'm not an entrepreneur, but just me being a poet. And me trying to be out here in these different venues, work with these different promoters and such, I'm seeing people do business with each other. Nobody has done me wrong yet, but I'm out here enough where I feel like it's coming. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
And it's sad that you have to think like that.
Yeah, but think of it like this: a black business owner, they're holding an event, right? One, they haven't corresponded with you well. They start their shit off late. They show up late. They don't provide you clear instruction on what's going on and how the event is going, right? But you're a vendor at their event. You show up. You're late as well. You don't have all of your stuff either. And you're disrespectful when you talk about how you're supposed to be compensated for your time. So we're both wrong. And we are talking about the other person like we're doing great business. Right. And I think as a vendor, as a customer, as a business owner, we're just not, I think it just comes down to we're just not respecting each other.
But the thing is, we don't know. We get mad. We say we got business. I'm a business owner. Because that's big. I'm a black business owner.
Yeah.
But we don't take into consideration what business really is and what that looks like. You should show up early to your own shit.
Yep.
You should stay late.
Yep.
Past your own shit.
Yep.
You have the responsibility of making sure that what you need to get done, it gets done.
And correspondence kills me. If I text you like you're gonna piss me off. You're gonna piss me off if you don't reply back. Because I think that's just how you supposed to communicate. You're supposed to get right back to people that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And when it comes to money, pay promptly. And discuss. I think one thing we get into an issue with black people is we have this mentality that we're doing it all for the love,
Oh, and everybody's supposed to give us love.
And everybody's supposed to give
Right.
us some good
So
stuff.
everybody's supposed to love us.
And a
Right.
discount.
We doing it all for the love. But you don't ask the white man for a discount.
Exactly.
That is true.
You don't ever ask the white man
I
for a
don't
discount.
ask black business owners for a discount, but I think they feel like because it's the price that they gave, that they're giving you a
Good deal.
Yeah.
they're giving you a discount. They're doing you a favor when I didn't even ask you for that to begin with.
Yeah.
What you say?
Go ahead.
Okay,
Why y'all do
that?
We gonna talk about Capri doing that
Look, we
earlier.
nosy. We been trying to figure out like what y'all talking about.
Yeah, well, you gotta understand. This is how we usually like every now and then. If one of us is whispering on the other side, we're like, "What's going on?
What happened?
What happened?" In mid sentence, what?
Can't even focus, just nosy.
All right, Courtney. So let me tell you something. We have gotten hella comfortable with you. You probably one of the only guests we've had that we didn't went all the way this far with.
Yes, for
We
real.
recorded for 2 hours.
Yes.
Y'all gonna get me in trouble with my wife.
We are sorry.
That's cool.
We didn't mean to
That's all
go
good.
this long, but you know what? We appreciate you.
Man,
This has
happy-
been a good conversation. I'm not gonna lie.
Have me back whenever.
Yeah, we'll bring
Yeah,
you back
really
for
appreciate
sure.
you doing it. I really am
Sure.
honored, and especially with you, the poetry, the book, the nonprofit. You were in the community. Like I'm honored that you're even here. I really appreciate it.
I've been pushing. Other people ask me. It's funny because they'll see me out and about, and when they see me, they be like, they act like I'm a social media
Guru.
celebrity or something. I'm like, I only got 2,000 followers on IG. I ain't doing that much. I average maybe 50 likes. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I think, but what I can appreciate though, I think people see my grind.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
some people be like, why did he have a turkey drive and he posted on Facebook? I feel like you doing too much. Why not?
Exactly.
Why not? Show your good work. Show it, because to me, I feel like if you continue to show your good work, then it's gonna breed more good energy to you, and then you'll be able to do even bigger things.
Right.
I don't have a problem showing that I'm with my mentees. I don't have a problem showing anything that I'm doing in the community because I want it to be known.
And it may
Exactly.
inspire somebody else to do it too.
right.
Exactly,
At the same
and I
time.
think that's what I've been able to do because I have young men come to me like, "Damn, man, you inspiring, Mac. I really appreciate everything you're doing. You show how to be a good father, a good husband, and I see you pushing your poetry and everything on IG and Facebook." And I'm like, "Damn, I didn't know I was doing that much."
But with that being said, will you close it out with a poem?
Yeah.
You will?
Yeah, give us
What's up? You will?
What you mean?
We appreciate
We
it.
really
What
do.
you mean? Of course. I mean, if a poet come on here and don't spit, like, what are you doing?
So what I was really gonna do is ask you to give us one so we can start off the listening because I think it draws people into us. But we'll take one at the end. But I do need one for the beginning because I really would like to be able to. No, but I love it.
Do
I
you
love
have
that
one
ability
recorded
to,
that
like,
you can send to us in text
Oh,
or we
yeah,
can
yeah.
start it off before we do our podcast?
Yeah, because
okay.
right now, I'll be honest, I'm in the mix of trying to learn new ones.
Okay.
So I'm not that well versed in having 20 poems memorized at one
Gotcha.
time.
Right.
Okay.
I can't do it like that. Some of my homeboys, Proverb, Tavy the Poet, Glenn Whitaker, they can do those things. I don't got 20 memorized. I memorize like maybe 5 at a time, and then I recycle them.
Okay.
And if somebody wants something, then I go back and work on it for like a week. Like,
So what we're gonna do is because in honor of you coming here, we're gonna start us off with one, and then we're gonna end it.
We're
with
going to
one.
end it, so we'll start our podcast. You
So
send
we'll
us a recording one, and
appreciate
we'll start it off, and then you'll end it with one.
Right, so
Like,
go ahead and
Okay.
end it one.
okay.
That you get.
God don't make no mistakes. God don't make no mistakes. But I swear he running late. My present isn't as pleasant as I planned with what my Lord has scanned a barcode to play the system. Now, no, I'm not playing the victim. I'm just describing my symptoms. With an hourglass in my master and I'm a slave, young Toby let me tap dance for massa. Massa let me ask my anger and smear this black shoe polish all over my face. And Bojangle and Morris code all over the stage. The greatest minstrel show on earth forever replayed. Terrified of the future and frightened of the past. Tick, tock, tick, Talk. Tick. I was once told as soon as you're born, you begin dying. As soon as you're born, you begin dying. So more than anything else, I've been terrified of timing. I hit the snooze button over and over and over to deny what's on the other side. I grew accustomed to this fear. Multiplied over time, over 100 times over throughout the years, compulsive clock checking. So how many accolades can I get before I die? Because even as early as age 10, I was afraid I wouldn't be shit. I'm talking fear. Fear that if that man in the mirror did become something one day, that he would lose himself in the process. I'm talking fear. Fear of family death because they love their pork, but they won't take their meds. I'm talking fear. Fear that I will fail my wife and kids because I don't know nothing of what a good father and what a good husband is. I'm talking fear. Fear that I will die randomly. Fear that I will die randomly by some nigga that I don't even know, by strange bullets at 7-Eleven trying to buy my baby girl some gummy bears, and the news will simply factor my life and death to gang relations. I'm talking fear. Fear that time is simply not on my side. Because it has been known to be the antagonist of so many that I knew and know, so I'm downright scared with every bit of me, downright to my soul. I'm talking fear. Tick. Tock. Tick. Tock. You hear him? Tick. Tock. He's in my ear all day. Tick. Tock at night when I'm laying in bed mad about life. Tick. Tock in my cubicle when I want to burn the whole building down. Tick. Tock. He's saying in my ear, nigga, if no one else, you gonna fear me. This predictive system is predators chasing us, for the quickest killing chasing us, illegitimate villains chasing us, legal lynchings chasing us. Mind what I tell you, young boy, sag your pants. Young boy, do your dance. Young boy, watch this trends. Young boy, pay attention to these hands. The hands of time. Because I feel like I ain't got much left. Lord, warm that meal up in the presence of my enemies. And please, Lord, let my testimony and not my ignorance read as my eulogy. So this is my confession. You are now watching my suicide letter. I had to murder the old me to become the man I'm supposed to be. So I'll leave you with this. See, don't be afraid of time. But just know you don't have a lot of it. Matt.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Will you tell us the name of your book again?
It's Cordney McClain, a.k.a. Mac Woods, Blacker Than Shakespeare's Inc. You can get it on Amazon, but I'd rather you contact me at Cordney.mc@gmail.com. That's Cordney, CORDNEY.mc@gmail.com. I do my own shipping. I'll definitely give you a personalized signed copy. And I also been doing bookmarks for different promotion. But my business cards also have my Brothers for Progress information on the back as well. So if you like a financial literacy workshop done for your kids, I'm down to come and do that. I've been really trying to push my financial literacy stuff here lately because it kind of got a backseat for a minute with my poetry, because it was just hard to really put all of myself into both. So, this year I told myself I'm really going to try to focus on that. What I really would like to do is get it state funded. I want it to be to the point where, because it's funny, because I hear that financial literacy is provided within the schools, but then when I talk to a lot of parents and educators, they're saying that it's not. So it's like, so I'm like, okay, well maybe it's in the Edmond school system.
Okay. I'm wondering if it's something that's supposedly in the budget that's really not
in the budget.
And see, and that's a good question, because I'm hearing that it's supposed to be there, but then kids are telling me that it's not there. Yeah. So if I can provide that service and be have my grants and be state funded, I'm ready to quit this day job.
Sound like me.
And focus.
Awesome.
You know what I'm saying? And focus on these workshops. And right now I'm building a book where either I'm going to be able to sell to the school system, or you can just hire me to come and do it. And that's what the passion is. That's what the dream is.
Nice. Awesome.
That is great.
I love to see black men doing.
I do too.
I know, that's great. Like, yeah.
Trying to.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us today. Y'all know we on SoundCloud every Sunday. we appreciate Cordney because he didn't came and brought the heat today. He didn't set the standard for how guests have to be. Now I'm playing. But we truly appreciate him because we done took us all the way off the topic and everything. I don't think we
had a whole list of questions. I think we had like 9 questions.
That's okay.
That's okay though. It went really well.
See,
and
what happened is we start drinking and got in the conversation first.
That's exactly.
You know what? But he came up to me in the gym and was like, "Are you gonna send me the questions?" And I was like, "No, we're gonna ask you there." But now I'm thinking I probably should have sent them to you.
See, so my thing was like,
that's okay though. I think it was great.
Yeah. No.
A podcast, I think a lot of times it's just blank canvas. It's so new, and I think it's so, people are like, it's oversaturated, but the thing is, this is our platform. We get the ability to create it the way we want it to look and what we want it to sound like.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes we get into the space of, it's got to look like and sound like and do this and be this. But I think that we have been really good at getting people like you, Cordney, because we have just gone with the flow of what it looks like. Right. And sometimes it just go off, and I'm okay with it. Like, I don't have no problem with that.
It was
It was a great conversation.
I think that's organic anyway, because when have you ever sat down with your friend, had a conversation, and stayed on track?
Right.
That's true.
Exactly. That's true.
So
it's all over the place, So again, thank you guys for listening to us. Like I said, we appreciate Cordney for coming and spending time with us tonight. SoundCloud every Sunday, MochaTea. We are on Twitter, MochaTea Podcast. We're on Instagram, MochaTea Podcast. MochaTea_podcast, sorry. Facebook is MochaTea Podcast. And Gmail for all bookings. We have been told we need to be putting it out there for bookings because God is going to do a great thing through us. So we're going to MochaTea2018@gmail.com. If you guys have any questions, want to hit us up, you guys want to get in contact with Cordney so we can get you can get a copy of his book, because hey, he's out here doing his thing and hustling and putting his work into his thing, so we want to make sure that we support that as well. So if you guys need a way to get in contact with him, you don't know how to get in contact with him, you can get in contact with us. We'll put you in contact with him.
Do you want to share your contact information?
I put my email, but my actual phone number, I use my phone number. So Cordney.mc@gmail.com. Phone number for contact 405-818-3896. I don't mind you hitting me up. I don't mind you texting me. I don't mind you hitting me with my IG. That's Mac, MAC _ since 1985. And you can find me, Cordney D. McClain, MBA on Facebook. Just hit me up. I'm down for bookings. I'm kind of booked up for February already, but I'm down for everything. Hit me up.
Thank you for listening, and we are out.